I was obviously really nervous when it came out. The first film in a big series. She's stronger than like most of the men on the set. Everyone's like, this movie's called Machu Picchu Proposal. We're not gonna see it. There may or may not be a pool sequence. Most spectacular meet cute they've ever shot. It's got everything. It'll make people want to, book their next trip to Peru.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm so excited today to welcome Alec Santos to the podcast. Hi, Alec.
Hello, hello, hola, hola.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You've got a lot going on in the Hallmark world the next few weeks, so I'm thrilled to be talking about your premiere that you have later on this month, the Passport to Love premiere, and then also your movie that aired last year on Hallmark Plus is going to be kicking off the Christmas in July over on HallmarkChannel as well. So we've got a lot to talk about.
That's very exciting. I didn't know about the Christmas in July thing until everyone else knew too. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Let's start with how did you get into the Hallmark world?
I did a couple of bit roles 5-6 years ago, and like every actor, chomping at the bit, working really hard.
Yeah.
But the sort of note I always got was always like, he's too young looking, for my age. And then eventually they were right. The casting directors were right. As soon as I hit a certain age and I looked a little bit older. But I did book like a movie called Planning on Forever that wasn't Hallmark affiliated, but is very similar to the Hallmark formula and feel. And so that allowed me to get bigger auditions. And then eventually Unwrapping was my first sort of lead role.
So Unwrapping Christmas aired last year on Hallmark Plus, and Hallmark is bringing that whole series back, Christmas in July, starting with your movie, which was Unwrapping Christmas, Tina's Miracle. You play Michael, the father to Haley, and you play opposite of Natalie Hall. Can you tell us about Unwrapping Christmas?
Yeah, so Unwrapping, we shot that in Ottawa. Our director was Max. I was really, really excited from the day one of this movie and this screenplay, primarily not only because I got to work with Natalie, but because of my character had a daughter, had a teenage daughter, and I was a single dad. And I've never played that before, and I was really, really excited about that dynamic. And from day one, when I met Presley, that's the actor's name, we hit it off, and we were hanging out, playing video games, and really created a connection that I think you can see in the film. It's, I was obviously really nervous when it came out, the first film in a big series on Hallmark Plus and online, that all the reviews were, a lot of people liked it. A lot of people thought it was kind of like really sad for a Christmas movie. But I kind of like, that's what I like, about it is sort of the honesty between both characters. They're both reeling from tragedies, and they come together in this beautiful moment. So yeah, I think, I've rewatched it a couple of times. My mom is a huge Hallmark fan. My mother-in-law is a huge Hallmark fan. And, I rely on their feedback because they're going to give me reliable feedback.
Yeah.
And, we're going to watch that movie every year now for Christmas.
There you
it's
go.
really great.
No, I've seen it. I love the dynamic, and I agree. You guys played the father-daughter role. You played it really well. I was laughing at the scene at the table where they're all sitting around the table, and it's like this awkward. She's calling your character, Michael and Tina are calling them out, and then finally realizes it's not going anywhere and says, "I'm just going to go get more pasta." And then Michael says, "She has pasta already on her plate," right?
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that scene because that's like the consensus favorite scene amongst myself, Natalie, and Max, the director.
There you
go. Yeah, there you go. Sometimes, it's a scene where we really got to not only play along with the script. I think that line, "she still has pasta on her plate," was improvised. So yeah, it's very, very funny. Kids setting up the parents and
Oh yeah.
very parent trappy.
Oh, very.
Sure.
Yeah, I loved it. Great movie. I'm excited that it's kicking off the Christmas in July series next month. So that's going to be airing on July 5th. 1 week before that, you've got A Machu Picchu Proposal coming
Right.
out. Say that 5 times, right?
Yeah, Machu Picchu Proposal. Oh, you don't want me to say it 5 times.
You will be playing opposite of Rhiannon Fish.
Hmm.
Always excited to see her on the screen. So, what can you tell us about your character, Chef Carlos?
Yeah, so Chef Carlos hails from Chicago. He is American born and raised, but his mom's Mexican, so he's Mexican American. And he's about to open a restaurant in Chicago, and he knows for the next couple of years he's going to be, kind of like the bear, just in it. And so he decides to take a trip to Peru, where his best friend from culinary school is there,
Okay.
and he just wants to visit her. And his best friend is Michelle,
Okay.
um, and that goes along with the story because she is dating Rhiannon Fish's character's Katie's twin. Okay, so
Okay.
Katie has a twin. They have this incredible twin relationship. And I think this is going to go into that next question. So I'm just going to tell you like why
Do it.
she ends up in Peru. So Katie ends up in Peru because he's going to ask his girlfriend in marriage. He's the proposal, and he needs all the help he can get because he's a mess of a human, and he knows Katie is a Spanish teacher, and she's very organized. And so he, as siblings do, forces her to help him and come down to Peru. And then I come in to mess things up.
Oh,
So
more than one time, I imagine.
yeah, so I'm good friends with and Chef Carlos is your typical vivacious, almost like an Anthony Bourdain kind of person. He's crossing the street, he'll meet somebody, and next thing you know it, he's at their wedding. He's that kind of character. And so he is really excited to be there and to meet Katie. From the get-go, he feels something for her, and she's a
Okay.
little aloof. But he's in Peru, and he's an adventure, and he wants them to come along. He
Okay.
has no idea that this proposal is going to happen, so he's not messing up on purpose. It's just that's where the comedy comes in. He just keeps stepping in on it without knowing, essentially.
So, what drew you to this role to play Chef Carlos?
Well, the my second Christmas movie had just come out, Confessions of a Christmas Letter,
Yes.
and I got a call from my agent. She's like, Hallmark may want you to shoot in Peru, and I'm like, wow, that'd be really fun.
That would be rough.
Yeah, really rough. And so, the directors and producers have seen your stuff. They, you don't have to audition for it or anything. So all they want to know is if you know, you're down for it. They need a vibe check. They need to call you to make sure that because when we shoot these international projects, we don't have a trailer. You're kind of out every day. You're in the elements. You're gonna get rained on.
Interesting.
They don't shut down plazas. They don't so it's always really loud, and you're doing lots of takes. And then Peru, Cusco, which is the area where Machu Picchu has had the physical quality of being almost like 12,000 feet above sea level,
Yeah.
even higher, I think, which, is
Yeah.
known to wreak a little bit of havoc. So
Hmm. Yeah.
eventually they're like, can you do this? I'm like, hey, listen, like I've taught outdoor education, like take me tenting, take me anything, like I will help you guys. And they're like, okay, this guy is good. So, and it's kind of the reason they get Rhiannon to do it too, because Rhiannon is a trooper.
Yeah.
Rhiannon will stay out there for 18 hours. She's stronger than like most of the men on the set. Like she's petite, but she's furious and gets them done. That's why a lot of people always wonder, right? That it's like, okay, it's Rhiannon again in another international movie.
Hmm.
It's not just because she's really good at them. It's because she really is a champ when she works overseas.
She can
So
do it.
mhm,
She's up for it, right?
she's up for it. Yeah.
So, what was that like working with Rhiannon? This is the first movie that you guys have been in together, right?
Yeah. So my partner, she's a big fan of Rhiannon from a show called The 100. So I
Okay.
like have known of Rhiannon and I've seen her movies, and I was like, there's just no way somebody can be that bubbly, because she always plays really bubbly and
Oh yeah.
incredible
Oh
characters.
yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. Like, what is she tapping into? And she's always that bubbly. Even I think she was coming off a bout of like near pneumonia from her first film. And even the first day I met her, she was just full of life, and she's just so giving. If someone stubs a toe on set, she's the first one to be there for them. Like, she really, really is that person that we see in her movies. Just
amazing.
caring and giving. And we really bonded because we both love cats so much.
Oh, gotcha.
So that the moment when she found out I had a cat, I think I was FaceTiming my cat. And she's like, "Who are you FaceTiming?" She's like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Let's FaceTime my cats." Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about then that first meeting with Carlos and Katie. I know you said that he's kind of attracted to her from the get-go, but what was that first meeting like?
So this is like from Colin's and Rhiannon's, because I've only done about 4 of these movies, but they had a consensus that it's the most spectacular meet cute they've ever shot.
Nice. Okay.
Because we're in this ancient Peruvian town, and they hired this local dance troupe to dress up in like carnivalesque, and we're just walking through it, and all of a sudden we get caught up in the fun and this dancing thing. And while we're caught up, we notice each other, but we get separated because it's so it's so crazy. So it's a really cool in the moment, legitimate. It doesn't feel, because a lot of times meet cutes feel like, okay, like which is necessary for a romantic, but you brush somebody's hand, and but this one feels really natural, and yeah, pretty incredible.
Okay, that's cool. So shooting in an iconic place like Machu Picchu had to be super surreal. Like, we're so used to seeing these Hallmark movies where they create a set, they create, this, this Christmas, there's fake this hanging here and all of that. So when you walk into Peru, what is that
Yeah.
like?
Yeah. So Machu Picchu is it's like a 2-hour train ride away from Cusco,
Yeah.
which the movie kind of plays with that a bit. It seems like it's really easy to get there,
Yeah.
but and then you get to this place. It's in the middle. It's so unique because it's in the mountains, but it's also so much jungle, right? And whereas Cusco is up high, and it's kind of just feels like you're in the mountains. And you get there, and there's this town right below it, and you stay there the night before, and then you take a bus. Some people hike up, just to switch back up the mountain. You do that 6 o'clock in the morning, and I think in order for us to film, we had to go there in low season, which is the rainy season.
Okay.
Which was a risk because apparently sometimes it just sort of rains all day, and the clouds don't come up, and you don't see the city. And we got there, and for the first hour, nothing. It was like, you couldn't see in front of your face with the fog. And the second hour, nothing. And Colin, everyone's like, this movie's called Machu Picchu Proposal. We're not going to see it. And then all of a sudden, it just started to lift, and it was like everyone's hair was just, standing up.
Yeah.
And it was just the most magical. It really is. Sometimes some places have a reputation, but even beyond its reputation, it still is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, so
Yeah.
it was to fall in love with somebody like Rhiannon in a place like Machu Picchu, and the crew that we were with was just, it really is. There was very little acting done. The whole thing felt extremely magical. Yeah.
So maybe a bit easier when you're in a place like that and you can just play off of that environment that's around you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Other than
absolutely.
the rain and the weather
But that's
and the
part of it too. That's
altitude.
part of the beauty. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
part of the beauty. Yeah. We were like, they couldn't shut it down completely, but I mean, I was amazed too. I mean, I can't imagine they had a film crew in there, but we are a very small film crew, and we're very wary of everything. And because I think the last international movie shot there was like Terminator or something with a huge budget. So the fact that our little movie was there was just so incredible, yeah. Yeah,
So I
because
was
we go to Machu Picchu a couple times in the movie.
okay.
You'll
All
see
right.
it. Yeah.
So where all other than like Machu Picchu and then I mean, how spread out were you as far as filming goes?
So when you fly into Peru, you fly into Lima. Lima's in by the ocean. That's the
Okay.
capital. So, and then you have to fly into Cusco, which is, as I mentioned, 15,000 feet above sea level. And around Cusco is this valley called the Sacred Valley. And around the Sacred Valley is where you have these magical towns that are, over 1,000 years old, and Machu Picchu, and these markets. So they are all relatively close. Like we get up in the morning and we'd all hop in a small bus and we'd be at our location in an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. So, not too far. It's the same here in Vancouver. When we shoot movies here, we go out to the burbs and it's like, an hour drive to get out there. So it's similar, but we're, instead of showing up the suburbs, we're in some magical town that, and they're all, and we're very conscientious. The writer, Juliana, was very conscientious about making it a sort of a legitimate travel log. All the names of the places are real. Pisac, Urubamba, all the names of the dishes. It's all very well researched. And in fact, we had the Peruvian actors in our movie were like very happy with the representation. So yeah, we're excited about that.
I was visiting with a writer of one of the other Passport to Love movies, and she said, when you're on a destination movie like that, you don't have, you could have people walking around in the background that are not a part of the movie, and you just kind of have to roll with it. Did you guys have that same experience?
Oh yeah. And it's sometimes, because people see a camera and they want to walk right to it, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to explain it to them. It's like, hey, we're shooting a movie. Can you please, not look at the camera? Because immediately they wave, hey, I'm in the camera, because they don't know. And it can be loud, but it's not just people. It's a lot of dogs, street dogs barking. And so this is something that I learned from Rhiannon. You would, if there was maybe sirens or dogs, it were too loud, you wouldn't cut. You'd stay in the scene. You'd kind of connect with each other. And all of a sudden, when it got quiet, you'd continue the scene back and forth. And she's fantastic at doing that. She wouldn't drop a beat like she would. And so I learned that from her. And yeah, definitely something we had to work with.
Yeah, because she's done several destination movies.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
does that put you in the studio doing more ADR at the end when you're having to kind of talk over noises like that, or did you guys make it happen?
Yeah. So I thought we were going to have a lot of ADR, but we hired the best sound guy. His name's Axel from Toronto, and apparently he knocked it out of the park. I don't know if people know this. So sound is usually recorded a couple ways.
Okay.
In a movie, we have the mic, it's called the lavalier mic. It goes sort of inside the shirt. There's always people are always nervous because if you watch movies, sometimes you'll see the line, Okay. It's something you have to hide. And then on top of that, there's an outside sort of boom that they hold just above your head. So between those two options, they usually have a pretty decent, but a lot of times you're right. We have to record the audio after the fact. But Axel was on top of it.
So Colin Thays directed this movie. What was it like working with Colin?
Colin is 6'5". So he stood out in Peru. I think the average height in Peru is about 5'1". So he stood out, but he is the biggest teddy bear ever. He is just the nicest human, a big self-proclaimed nerd, Star Wars, Star Trek nerd. And he just wanted to make the best movie possible. So collaboration was the name of the game between him and his cinematographer and us and the writer. We were constantly sort of solving problems. Because even though they booked the place ahead of time, sometimes the scene wouldn't work where we were, or maybe it was something in the script itself. But we're just always constantly having a conversation. He's really good with talking to actors. So yeah, just a big teddy bear.
Do you think of any moment? Go ahead.
His partner came down. His partner is like an archaeologist, so she was in a dream place too.
Oh yeah.
She's archaeology professor. It's like what a combination of these two couples. So yeah, it was really special having both of them around.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Can you think of any moment where you were collaborating with Colin, like something that you take back with you, where that collaboration was just really special and meaningful for you?
Yeah. So for instance, I speak Spanish. I'm fluent in Spanish. And there were certain scenes, especially when we had Peruvian actors and they don't speak English. There's one particular scene where we're making empanadas, and I was like, "Hey, Colin, is it okay if I just sort of take over the directing? I'm just going to tell them what to do." And he's like, "Yes, please."
Yeah.
And he was just so excited about it, and so many. I feel like, I mean, I wouldn't dare ask that to a lot of directors because it's a big, you know what I mean? Like, look, listen, I'm just kind of. But
Yeah.
he was like, I was just talking to him where they should go and what we should do, and telling them what to say. Because a lot of times too, the writers, they don't necessarily speak Spanish, so sometimes the Spanish is not a colloquial Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll correct that. But no, it was fully, yeah, go and put your director hat on and do it. So yeah,
That's amazing.
it was very cool.
That's cool. So, talking about that local vibe, the local culture, landscape, how did that influence the overall feel of the movie? You've shared a little bit.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it's like a travelogue, like it's like imagine mixing, an Anthony Bourdain series on HBO, just to, his joie de vivre, his joy of life,
Yeah.
and all the really cool food and all the really cool people, but also what makes Hallmark so special, right? Is love and people coming together, and um, so yeah, but it's not just food, it's um, Peruvian culture is a lot more than food. It's music. There's a wonderful dance scene. I get to show off my dancing skills and be humbled by Miss Fish's dancing skills. But yeah, it's got everything. It's got everything. It'll make people want to book their next trip to Peru, for sure.
There you go. So, can you talk then a little bit? Did you get an opportunity while you were there to do any sightseeing on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had weekends off, and we one of the main characters is Peruvian. She's a Peruvian actress there, and she was always down to show her country around. And yeah, we would hop on these like small little buses for $1.50.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry, that's my cat. And and we would explore. And one day we decided to hike for like 6-7 hours. And then another day we'd go to sort of a small town. But even like the smallest hikes, Peru was such a network for the Incas that some places there'll be like Inca ruins, and there's no sign, nothing, because they're just sort of all over the place.
It's just part of it,
So you
right?
don't know what you run into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, for sure. We did a lot of that.
Did you walk away with like a favorite place that you visited?
Favorite place depends. It was there was your favorite place for shopping,
Yeah.
where coincidentally we're shooting right before Christmas, so I got all my Christmas gifts
Nice.
in Peru. Right, it was like so easy, and then that was a place called Pisac. It's in the movie.
Okay.
And then Cusco to me is just incredibly magical. On the first day I got there, I went for a jog, and I met this like indigenous guy, and very much like Chef Carlos,
Yeah.
he invited me over his house and decided to tell me about the history of the area, and it was very, very cool.
Just invited
Um,
you over.
yeah, he wasn't too far off. I was just walking up the
Just love
trail,
that.
and I had lots of questions, and he's like, "Hey, like I'm about to have dinner with my family. Like, do you want to come over?" And I'm like,
Come
"Yeah,
on over.
absolutely."
Love it.
So.
Love it. Do you have, and I know you can't share too much, but do you have a favorite moment from the scene, from the movie?
Um, as I said before, I think the meet cute is going to be really special.
Okay.
I obviously Machu Picchu when we get there, and towards the end, for one reason or another, we get there. I think watching the footage, because I haven't seen the whole movie yet, so I
Okay.
don't. But on top of those two things, my other favorite scene is the dance scene,
Mm.
which we'll say, which actually have a fun bit. I think that was a question too. Maybe it's coming up
Yeah,
next.
do it. Yeah.
A fun based trivia on that, because I've danced before in many movies. Like I was in Virgin River. I played the salsa instructor there,
Yes.
and
Yeah. I remember.
so I
You
can
also
dance.
danced in the Christmas movie coming up too.
That's right. Yeah, there's a bit of
Hmm.
a slow dance sequence. My character always just seems to be dancing, which is on point with like Latino cultures.
Yeah.
It is kind of true. Like in Latin America, if you girls won't talk to you unless you know how to dance. So I was there, a little 10-year-old with my 10-year-old
Uh-huh.
friends, the guy friends teaching me how to dance.
Yes.
So that's where it comes from. It's no real formal training. And I go, Rhiannon, like, do you want to rehearse it? Like, what's your dance skill like? I don't really know. I've done this before. I have kind of an idea of how the scene will go. Like, what's your, dance skill level at? Don't be embarrassed if it's not, because for the most part, people, it's kind of a scary thing. It's kind of like singing in
Yeah.
public,
Yeah.
dancing.
Yeah.
And Rhiannon goes, it's like, Alec, I was in Dancing with the Stars Australia, and I got second place. And so I'm like, just beat red. Maybe I should have done my research. And then I go like, well, maybe you could teach me a few things or two. And so no, it was great. It was great. I think the scene, it's held in like the whole scene is shot with a camera and a body doll, and it'll be really cool. The dance sequence ties in with the end of the movie too. So
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
check it out.
Any sort of Easter egg that you can tease, anything that we could be looking for that you haven't said so far?
Easter egg. I mean, not in terms of. Yeah, it's a travelogue film, and it's a film about romance. But at the same time, there's this really, really special dynamic between Rhiannon's character and Chris. That's the Dan. He plays her twin brother.
All right. Uh-huh.
And I don't know if Hallmark has done many twins,
I don't
but
think
there is,
so.
like from back in the day, the Tia and Tamara,
Yeah.
Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I don't know. I mean, I can't think of all these twin. There is a real special dynamic. It is a sibling to the max. Like the whole twin tuition, where they can sort of figure out, finish each other's sentences and understand each other and know each other, is going to be a really, really special part of it. Much like the Barcelona films right now, it's so special because of the friendship between the two of them.
Yes. Yes.
I do believe this movie is elevated because of the connection between the two of them. So yeah, that's the Easter egg I want to offer.
Okay. That'll be exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Any other fun behind the scenes moments that you could share with us?
Yeah, sure. So there may or may not be a pool sequence, and naturally
Like pool is in water, like you dive into the
yeah,
pool?
like I'm
Okay.
swimming in a pool and I, come out of it like a James Bond girl. So naturally one gets nervous, and it is a summer movie, right? We are in Peru in South
Okay.
America, but it got really cold that night when we're shooting in Peru, and it's I think that night was like must have been 55 degrees,
Oh
and
my gosh.
we were so cold shooting this thing, and we're jumping back and forth from the pool and from this like towel scene, because it's a long scene too. It's a really beautifully romantic scene in the way Hallmark does, but as soon as they yell cut, we would run straight into the heating. There's this giant heater they had, and we just stand
Yes.
there and shake.
And
But
now you're thinking, this is when they asked me if I'm up for it. This is what they were talking about,
this is
right?
exactly what they're talking about. Yeah. So yeah. But sometimes these conditions, sometimes when you're really tired or really cold or really hungry, and it makes your acting better,
Yeah.
because you don't think about the lines, you're present in the moment, and I think it makes you a better actor. I think Rhiannon brought this up too. It was she's obviously a Hallmark alum and has done lots of these, and we have our first kiss, our kissing scene. We shot that on our second day,
Oh, wow.
which is not typical. Usually they allow the actors a little bit more time
Yeah.
together in chemistry before the big
Yeah.
moment. And she was coming off an illness from her previous movie, and I thought I was kind of a superstar when I landed there. Very. I'm like, oh, I have this altitude has nothing on me. It turned out it did. It turned out I couldn't sleep for like the first week
Oh
straight.
no.
And you search that online, it says yes, sleeplessness is part of it, because I guess your brain thinks you don't have enough oxygen, so it doesn't let you sleep.
Oh my gosh.
So I have slept maybe 9 hours in the first like 6 days. And so we did that scene. So a lot of it is heightened. And it works. I think it's going to be, there's desperation from my part, there's desperation from her part, for, other reasons besides but it's going to really work, and it's going to be a special moment.
That's awesome. When they shoot that far, like out of order, is that, because of location? What typically, forces them to kind of shoot that far out of order?
Yeah, it's all location. Yeah, it's all depending on the schedule of location, what day they have when and where, and yeah, location decides the whole scheduling of the movie for sure.
So you have 15 days. Is it 15 days to shoot?
15 days to shoot, 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if you've got rain and fog every day, right?
Oh yeah, and it was being the winter season they call there, and there we had rain almost every day. So every day, 1 or 2 hours, was always kind of like, okay, we're just sort of waiting for the rain to stop, and go along with it. It's part of it, for sure.
So would you describe this Hallmark? So Hallmark's really started to try to bring in more comedy into their movies over the last couple of years. Would you describe this as more just of a romance, with that comedy in there, the adventure because you're in Machu Picchu, you're in Peru?
Hmm.
How would you describe it?
Yes, there's a lot of comedy,
Okay.
primarily from the twins, and them, whereas Carlos he goes with everything. He likes plans being changed the last second. Katie doesn't. She's very by the book, and so is he. And there is a lot of comedy in that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really, really funny. So yeah, it's a romance, adventure, travelogue comedy.
All right.
A little something for everyone,
A
for sure.
little bit of everything, right? And if
Hmm.
you love Peru, just show up.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you hope that fans that are watching take away from A Machu Picchu Proposal?
An appreciation for Peru. Just not only because of their monuments like Machu Picchu, but what else they bring, and just the idea that love can come in many ways, in the form of sibling to sibling, in form of stranger to
Mhm.
the person who's making your dish, in the form of for a couple that meet for the first time. It doesn't just take that quintessential love that we all think of, but it can be the person making my empanadas, or
Mhm.
um, so I think that's it. That's sort of the different levels of it all. I hope
That's
that's
pretty
what they
cool.
take away.
Yeah. Having, done some travel similar, not to Peru, but similar, I just love taking that culture and that vibe, and people are so welcoming and friendly. Speaks to exactly what you're talking about, those connections are so important, and you see a lot of that when you travel to places like Peru.
Yeah, I think especially because when we travel, we let our guard down. We
Mhm.
have our when we have our daily routine and the work we go to and our job, we tend to be who we are. But sometimes, and I think that's part of the reason people love traveling so much as well, is nobody knows you. Nobody knows you in Peru. So why not? If you're a bit of an introvert, why not just
Yeah.
strike
Yeah.
up a conversation with a stranger? So I think that's sort of part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. All right. You want to play a little game?
Sure. Let's play a little game.
All right. I tried to keep these very Peru like. So
Okay.
here we go. You decide to take a trip to Peru. Are you the planner or are you the tag along?
Um, I am, well, with me and my partner, I'm generally the tag along. She books all our tickets and hotels, but I'm the one that, much like Chef Carlos, will change things last minute and last second.
Why
So,
not, right?
yeah.
Make it full of adventure. All right. So if you had to hike to Machu Picchu, are you the one leading the group with the map or sneaking snacks at the back?
Leading the group with the map for sure. I'm the one that will wake up at 5 in the morning in the tent, uh, banging on a pan to make sure everyone wakes up, or playing on pan flute or something. I'm very, very excited to be there. That's what I'll be doing for
Ready to
sure.
get up and go.
Let's go.
All right. Llama selfie. Is that a must have travel moment or something that you're going to cautiously admire from afar?
No, definitely, definitely do a llama selfie, or an alpaca. They're a
Okay.
little bit friendlier than llamas. Llamas may spit on you, so
Yes.
beware of the spit. But an alpaca, oh my goodness, the alpaca babies are just, they don't look real. They look like stuffed animals.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they just like, we stayed in several hotels, and instead of having, I was talking, and like, yeah, we don't have any lawn service because the alpacas just trim our lawn all the time. And they just hang out. They're like the most docile, kind creatures, and so soft. And you're like, when you buy the alpaca scarves, and you're like, oh my god, this animal's not only cute,
Oh
but
yeah.
has the softest fur ever. Yeah. So.
Okay. Selfie it is. If you could pack only 3 things for a trip to Peru, what would they be?
Only 3 things.
Yeah.
So probably like some thermal underwear, because at night it gets cold, and during the day you can wick the sweat away with that for sure.
Okay. All right. Strategic.
Strategic. Let's see. Definitely your camera, because there's just so much. I mean, your phone these days, I guess, can double as your camera. And then finally, what's the third thing that I'd pack? So a good pair of hiking boots.
Okay.
Because even though like Machu Picchu is a pretty famous place, you still have to hike quite a bit. So even if you don't choose the hiking into it, the place you get to by bus, you're still walking around quite a bit. We had to like walk in all our camera gear and sound gear, and I helped them out a bit with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, some good walking shoes or hiking shoes, definitely a must.
Strategic and smart. All right.
I mean, you'll look pretty funny with the thermal underwear.
I was thinking thermal underwear and boots, but hey, you've got a camera for great pics. All right. Would you be more excited about exploring ancient ruins or trying all the local street food? I know that's hard because you've shared some pretty amazing places.
That's such a hard question. I know. There's, it's almost like Machu Picchu feels like you're like, oh, this is why they wrote Indiana Jones. And the guy, Ryan Bingham, is actually, Indiana Jones is based, of him. And you understand it immediately. You're like, this is so cool. And the history around it is so cool. But I do love eating. And I do love, so if I were to choose one, it would be street food.
Okay.
Hands down.
Okay. You land in Cusco and you realize there's no cell service. Are you thrilled to unplug or quietly panicking?
Oh man, it depends. It depends on if I'm there for a job like Machu Picchu Proposal. I think I'd panic because I'm like, where's my crew?
Yeah.
But if I'm there visiting, and I would welcome that. I mean, like, great, no cell service. I'll take the photos. No pressure to connect with the world. I'm just here right now.
Yeah.
For sure.
You've got your camera already anyway, so you're good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, last one. You're invited to a traditional Peruvian festival. I feel like I kind of already know this answer. Are you jumping in to the dancing? Are you sampling everything at the food stalls, or are you people watching from the sidelines? I think I can eliminate at least one of them.
Yeah. Between the food and the dancing immediately. I think I'd have a couple of pisco sours first before I jump into the dance floor. And dance the night away.
Okay.
Dance the night away. There's a line in the film too where Michelle, the Peruvian character, because they're just eating French fries, and it goes, there's nothing more Peruvian than a potato. And that's something I also learned about Peru. I didn't know that, like, I know there's russet and golden. There's I know there's 4 different kinds of potatoes here in North America, but they have like 20 different kinds. And they make their like potato chips in home, and it's like so delicious. I was like, why don't we have more potatoes where we live?
That's my kind of place.
Yeah, just potato galore.
Give me a potato any day. Fried up, French fries, baked potato, mashed potato.
Anyway.
Any kind.
Any kind.
Now I got to go to Peru. I mean, I had to go to Peru before the potato, but now you've just kind of
tipped
it over. Hey, do you have any other projects coming up that we need to be looking for? Not that you don't have 5 coming up on Hallmark, but anything else?
Not yet. I do play a Sears regular role in a TV show here called Sight Unseen, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
we may
Talk
be
a little bit
shooting
about
another
that.
season soon.
That's
Hmm?
on CTV in Canada, right?
Yeah, I was on the CW for a season, but now it's a
Okay.
Canadian show, and they might sell it to another streaming. Who knows?
Okay.
That's like a very different than a Hallmark show. It's like a police procedural. I play a pretty chaotic character,
Yeah.
so it's fun. It's fun to step into different roles like
I
that.
sort of say, do you like that kind of playing two different, very different kind of parts?
Absolutely, yeah. And you'll see, and I'm really excited to see what people think, because like Chef Carlos and the Unwrapping character are very, very different people.
Okay.
The Michael Alonso, and I must say, like, Natalie Hall, God bless her soul, because she's like, my character's name was originally Michael, and it had an English last name, and she goes, Alec is half Latino, like let's make him half Latino.
Yeah.
And this is a Christmas movie, like let's just get him speaking Portuguese when he quotes Love Actually, So that was all Natalie. Like Natalie was just such a wonderful idea. But Michael, when you watch that movie, his life revolves around his daughter, right? He's a
Yeah.
single dad,
Yeah.
and he's kind of serious. Yeah, he throws in a couple of jokes now and then. And then whereas like Carlos is just the
Yeah.
life of the party, he has no responsibilities. He is funny
Yeah.
and loves everyone and loves everything. And he wears this aura just outside of him. So it's two very different characters, even within the Hallmark universe. So I'm really blessed that Hallmark allows me to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
That's great for us, though, as viewers. We can tune in to see Alec on the 28th and all of the craziness, and then see a completely different vibe of you on July 5th. So
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tell everybody where they can find you on social media to kind of keep up with all your projects.
So I'm mostly on Instagram these days. Just if you just search Alec Santos, you'll see me right there, Alec Davin Santos.
Okay.
And but yeah, I'll pop by on Facebook every once in a while. I know the Hallmark crew has a big showing there, so yeah, those two places.
Okay. Well, reminding everybody, A Machu Picchu Proposal, only going to say A Machu Picchu Proposal, is June 28th on Hallmark, Saturday night, 8/7 Central. It'll air the next day on Hallmark Plus, and then a week later, we've got, I want to get it right here, the Unwrapping Christmas, which is Tina's Miracle. You play opposite Natalie Hall, and that will be on July 5th. And then you will actually be just a little bit in each of the following Unwrapping Christmas movies throughout the month of July, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
We go from a summer romance to a Christmas
There we go.
one week to the next.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for talking with me today. I'm so excited to see the movies coming out. Always love to catch up with our Hallmark actors and see how things are going in your world. Really loving the Passport to Love series so far. So congrats on that, and look forward to watching this one.
Oh, thank you so much. It really is a pleasure to talk to you, and to meet people that are as excited about these movies that I am. I feel blessed. Thank you.
Good. That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.